think it's quid pro quo. I think it's some sort of connectedness that, Lauren is in New Jersey this week visiting her family for her sister's birthday, and happy birthday, Leslie. And I've had the space to myself, and I have, like everybody, no shortage of things to do. I mean, I am at all times in this pursuit of so much, right? I mean, writing a book and developing a concussion prevention program for acceleration, and so we're launching that. I mean, I'm an inventor. I'm working on products. I mean, I'm always learning. There's no lack of stuff to do, but I felt bored and somewhat at a lack of focus in what I could do until I came over tonight, and I got to help with Nick, and I got to help Nick, and I got to help you, and it wasn't human connection so much. I mean, I went to church this morning, and I felt very connected there, and but I didn't really feel as good about it until I could share it, and not just like in a teaching sense, but just share my wellness and what I'm learning, or share my struggle to help other people be well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that is like by far the most important reason why we exist, in my opinion. I mean, we talk about like what is the purpose of life, and I think it's just what you make of it. It's what you give it meaning. You should, yeah. But I do think this intricate, almost like innate sense of contribution, but not in the sense of like I better contribute or else, like like you're saying, my life is threatened. I think that's there as a societal sense. It is something that is probably predominant now. It's like if I don't contribute, then society is going to view me as a useless human being. But there's something extremely valuable when someone can go into the throes of what they're experiencing, like really, really deep, and then being able to share from the inside out, like we just talked about. It's like a wellspring. It's literally like a wellspring that's overflowing. Like you're putting so much into your cup, and then you're overflowing this cup, and the cup is just spilling all over the place.
Others can drink of it.
And others can drink of it. And then you're filling their cup, and then they're filling your cup back up. It's like, oh, thank you so much gratitude.
Oh, their cup fills, overflows, and fills someone else's cup.
And it just keeps going. I mean, that's the whole theme of the Wellbeing podcast is spread wellness. And I almost think, eventually I want to have some well-being podcasts, like ambassadors, people that are going to get out there. Yeah. And I think we can probably have some really powerful people out there. And there's so many powerful people. Like we have viewers or followers from like China, Russia, India. Like I was looking through like some of our followers from all across the United States. I mean, some of the names I couldn't even pronounce. I'm like, where are these people coming from? And they're listening to us, and we're able to impact so many people from around the world. Like, I'm sure they are just probably wanting to share, what they learned. And when I listen to a podcast, I'm like, I want to share everything I learned from this damn thing because it was so valuable to me. And then I'm applying it to my life, and then I can share that wellspring with everyone else. So is the it's almost like the Wellbeing podcast is filling your cup to overflow to fill others' cups. Exactly. And I think it is this back and forth between you and I. Like, it's cool to be able to go into my world, apply things I've learned personally, whether it's business, life, or whatever it may be. But then, like, take a step back and let someone like you come in and be like, well, hey, have you considered this? And I'm just sitting there soaking it up like a sponge. I'm stepping out. Sometimes for me, I feel like if I step out and then just look in and look at all the abundance that's around me, the resources and all these beautiful things, like I can drink from that cup and then I can give back even more. And I think oftentimes as human beings, we want to strain and like really like try hard to do something. Like we're putting all this energy like into this linear fashion rather than stepping back and be like, let me let in. Isn't that exactly the bracing strategy? That's exactly the bracing strategy. That's exactly the bracing strategy, is that you want to fight, you want to try so hard, and so you have to lock everything down, and everything's got to be super organized, and it's like, it can be, if you can get a little deeper and
Like, I guarantee you that for the people who have moved well before the advent of, of comforts that have sort of distorted our movement, they weren't bracing that hard.
Yeah.
They were modulating as necessary. I mean, when you had, a very intensively working farming agrarian society, or you had huntings, and you had just other very, a life that was survival based on work. I'm sure they weren't prepping for each bale of hay that they, tossed, or, whatever activities they were doing, but they were getting ready for them. I mean, they were doing them, and they were doing them with pretty well. But it would be from a place of naturally being already active, already engaged, already braced, and then dialing that up instead of having to force through it. And so you're right. It's sort of like not just trying so hard, but it's spiraling from, an inside place out. And
that's like groundbreaking, I think. And you're right. No one's really talking. No one's having a conversation about this. Like, not to this level. Like, we talk about it so esoterically, but it's literally fucking in your body. It's like in you. Yeah. And like, wow, what a gift. Like, seriously, what a gift to be able to access that, and to be able to have someone come in and be like, yo, it's in you. And the whole like cliche statement, the power lies within. Well, fuck, it does, man. It lies within. It really does. And it goes from in to out. Like, we keep it's such a common theme. Holy crap. Like that,
And that power that lies within comes from your humility. And what's, I may have been the one to illuminate it to you, but you illuminated it to yourself with your humility to allow me to do it. I mean, this is, it's your client. It's not mine, but it's my wanting to share in the wellness of others, and you allowing me, you being the channel to allow me to do that. And, I think that what I sort of bring to this is sort of like wellness to the athlete, and you bring sort of a little bit more of the athlete to the wellness community. But when we allow each other to channel through, and you're really your power, you're saying your power comes from within, and it comes from within because that either it influences your humility, or your humility influences it, or they're inextricably tied together. But your openness and being humble enough, it only increases your credibility in front of the people in front of you, even though it doesn't feel like it if you fight it, right? If you're tensed up and you're fighting, you're gripping against it, like the brace and like everything else, like if you're fighting against it, it doesn't increase your credibility. But if you are empowered from within and allowing that to flow within you, and allowing information and the lessons to not just sink in, but to take them in, and then to continue to channel them back and forth. Like think about how satisfying it is for me to contribute to the wellness of others and share in their wellness, but then have you continue that conversation.
It's a ripple.
Like it's not just I taught him something and I hope he does it well, or I taught you something and maybe you can use it with others. It's like the two of you were there, you can experience it together, and now you can continue a dialogue and explore it together.
And we get closer too. That relationship gets even closer. And in all honesty, when I was talking to Nick, I was like, Nick, I will do anything it takes to get this pain away. Anything to bring you back and even stronger than you were before, even if it means that I'm not the one to solely do it completely. And if I ask for external help, I will do that. And that's something I got from you. You told me one day, we were sitting, I think it was Labor Day weekend when we had our Labor Day special. So long ago. But we were talking and sitting there, and you're like, yo, I will do whatever it takes for a client to get there, even if it means that it's not me completely doing it. If I get an insight from someone else, if I bring them in, I will make it happen. And I was just like, wow, that is so freaking dedication. And you know what? There's no reason why I shouldn't do the same, because every person deserves that. And as a coach, I think we should all be striving to do that.
And I think once you become, it's because your wellness is beyond you.
Yeah.
You know, your wellness is beyond you, and it's not to look a certain way, or it's not even to fight the ego to not want to do it. It's embracing that their wellness is your wellness, and that's, I think that's the center of it. And kind of even like another aspect maybe, which I didn't know that he was a sprinter for years, but him being a sprinter, it completely, everything makes sense that because Spondy's a sort of a problem with the spinous process in the spine. It usually happens a lot in soccer players because they have extreme torque and rotation. So they have, like, you know, when they're kicking, there's a lot of extension. So they actually go into, if you don't keep the pelvis, engaged in this internal way, it kind of dumps back, and then you get into the anterior tilt, but in an explosive rotational anterior pelvic tilt, and it ends up twisting the vertebrae and kind of creating these breaks and these fractures in the different junctures of the vertebrae, and it's from this like explosive extension into rotation. Well, sprinters get it when they have too much backside mechanics. Makes sense. So backside mechanics, for those of you who don't know, is when you run and your leg swoops up behind you and makes a circle. You should run with as if there was an earthquake and the ground was dropping off beneath you from behind you. There was the land mass is falling away behind your feet, and it's peeling away, and the only way that you can get away from it is by sprinting forward. Every step you take, it cannot drop behind you because you will fall into the abyss. So the ground is falling away from you. You have to be striking underneath yourself to propel yourself forward. The next leg has got to strike and drive through without the leg cycling back behind you. Strike through and then drive down, through and drive down. And you have to stay ahead of the ground that's falling away beneath you. So this is called backside mechanics. And backside mechanics, what will happen is your leg swoops up behind you, is it'll rip you into extension, into lumbar extension, into that anterior tilt, into butt wink, into all of that. And that horrible extension is explosive extension. And inevitably, if you have backside mechanics and your pelvis isn't braced under you, you will start to also have rotation because you're out of control. So you can explain it to the viewers what I'm doing, but it's Sumer. So I want you to take, that's back, that's extension. So I want you just to stand in neutral. Just stand up, hold the wall. Good. Now keep your you can face either way. Hold your pelvis under you with the brace that I taught you, with your pelvic floor up. Now, raise your leg up in front of you like you're going to do a step up. Okay. So his hip is flexed, and now I want you to pull your heel back toward your butt. Close your shin angle. Up, but keep your foot in dorsiflexion. This is called triple tuck. Triple tuck is the entire world. Like, it is your lifeline. You cannot triple tuck if you drop into extension. Now go and triple tuck. You feel like your spine, it's wrecks. It's horrible feeling. Like, if you do it a couple times, it'll actually be painful. Yeah, don't do that. Smear's going to get hurt. So, essentially, what sprinting is and what speed is highly misunderstood. And this is why I work at the world's foremost speed training facility, because we look at it biomechanically. Stride rate and stride length is completely irrelevant because it's what your feet are doing. Speed is just a mathematical equation, is how much distance you cover in the time that you cover it. I mean, isn't it? It's kind of profoundly so unbelievably simple, but the equation is distance divided by time. So what I care about is the displacement of your hips. in how much time you do it.